So I've been noticing something lately. It's getting harder and harder to think. Not like harder to remember things or harder to concentrate for long. It's harder to know what I actually think about something. I'll read something online or watch a video or see an opinion somewhere, and then I'll have a reaction to it. Strong reaction sometimes. But then if someone asks me an hour later, what do you actually think about that? I'm not even sure. Was that my opinion? Or was I just reacting to something I was shown at the right moment in the right way? And then I started noticing that this was happening more and more with everything. What I want to eat, what I want to wear, what I want to do, what I actually think about my own life. It's like there is a very huge gap between me and what I think. And when I started looking into why, I found out it's not random, it's by design. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So there is a researcher named Daniel Kahneman. He won a Nobel Prize in economics for studying how humans actually make decisions. And the basic idea is that your brain runs on two different systems. System one is fast, automatic, emotional, reactive. It makes most of your decisions before you've even realized you're deciding. System 2 is slow, deliberate, logical, careful. It's the part that actually thinks things through. The automatic operations of System 1 generate surprisingly complex patterns of ideas, but only the slower System 2 can construct thoughts in an orderly series of steps. And here's the thing. System 2 is exhausting because it requires real effort and real energy, so your brain uses it as little as possible. It defaults immediately to System 1 for almost everything because System 1 is cheap, fast, and effortless. Kahneman says this is actually brilliant design for how humans used to live. When you needed to react to a threat, System 1 kept you safe and alive. When the decision was simple, System 1 handled it. But the problem is, now we live in an environment that is specifically designed and engineered to keep you in System 1 all the time. Every headline designed to provoke an emotion, every notification calibrated to create urgency, every algorithm showing you content that gets a reaction before you had time to actually think if it deserves it. And when you're in System 1 all the time, you're not thinking, you're just reacting. And that's a completely different thing. There is something called decision fatigue. A researcher named Roy Baumeister, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, spent years studying this. And what he found is that the quality of your decisions gets worse the more decisions you make. Not because you get dumber, but because decision making uses a finite mental resource, and that resource depletes. By the end of a day where you've made dozens of small decisions, what to eat, what to wear, what to reply to, what to click on, your brain is genuinely less capable of making good, deliberate decisions. It starts defaulting to whatever is the easiest, whatever requires the least resistance, whatever System 1 can handle without involving System 2 at all. And most of what the modern world puts in front of you is literally designed to arrive exactly at the right moment, where your defenses are lowest. The recommendation after you've been scrolling for 40 minutes, the urgent notification that arrives when you're already switching between tasks, the opinion that shows up right when you're tired and you're most likely to accept it. You're not being informed, you're being caught at your most vulnerable and nudged toward a reaction. Nicholas Carr wrote a book called The Shallows, and he makes a point that I think about all the time. He says, the internet is not changing what we think, it's changing how we think. The way we now read online, skimming, scanning, clicking links, jumping between tabs. That is training our brain to process information in a completely, fundamentally different way. Shallower, faster, and more reactive. Less capable of the kind of linear, sustained, deep thinking. that actually produces original ideas. The net is chipping away at my capacity for concentration and contemplation, whether I'm online or not. My mind now expects to take information the way the net distributes it, in a swiftly moving stream of particles. That's where most of us are swimming in all day. And the problem is not just that we can't focus. The problem is that we're losing the ability to have a complete thought, to hold an idea in our minds long enough to actually examine it, turn it over, question it, and decide what we actually think about it. Instead, what we actually do is just we skim, read, move on. Skim, read, and move on. And then wonder why we feel confused about what we actually believe. While I was planning this video, I found a research from the University of California on what they call emotional contagion, the way emotions spread through networks of people. And it turns out that social media don't just show you content, they show you emotional states. The anger in a post you see literally elevates your own stress hormones. The envy you feel looking at someone's life isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable psychological response. And the algorithms know this. The content that provokes strong emotions, anger, fear, envy, outrage, gets more engagement, more clicks, more shares, more time on screen. So the algorithm serves you more of it. Not because it wants you to be angry, but because anger keeps you scrolling. John Harry talks about this in his book, Stolen Focus. And he says that the attention economy doesn't just steal your focus, it shapes your emotional baseline. Spend enough time in content that is designed to provoke outrage, and your resting state starts to shift. Things that wouldn't have bothered you before start to bother you. You become someone more anxious, more reactive, more certain that everything is worse than it is. Not because the world got worse, but because the content that you're consuming is a curated feed of the worst thing happening everywhere all the time. And that's obviously not an accurate picture of the world. That's a distortion. And when your thinking is built on top of that distortion, it's very hard to think clearly about anything. So what do you actually do with this? There are actually a few things that genuinely help me to think more clearly, and they are very simple. The first one is adding friction. Kahneman's research shows that System 2 thinking, the slow, deliberate kind, needs time and space to activate. And the fastest way to give it that is to slow down the pace at which information reaches you. That might mean reading the news once a day instead of constantly, reading longer pieces of information instead of headlines. That might mean when you have a strong reaction to something, waiting for an hour before you respond, before you share, before you decide how to feel about it. That gap between stimulus and response is where actual thinking happens. And the modern world is working very hard to eliminate that gap. So your job is to protect it. The second one is single tasking. I know this sounds obvious, but I think most of us underestimate how much switching between tasks costs our thinking. Kahneman talks about something he calls cognitive load, and it simply refers to the amount of mental resources you're spending just managing what you're doing at any given moment. When you're switching between tabs, checking your phone, half listening to something while reading something else, your cognitive load is maxed out. And when your cognitive load is maxed out, your System 2 goes offline. You can't think deeply because there is no capacity left for it. One thing at a time is not a productivity hack. It's just how actual thinking works. And the third thing, and this is the one that I would ask you to try today, spend some time with ideas that are longer than a tweet. A book, a long essay, a real conversation, because your brain needs to practice holding a long thought, following an argument from beginning to middle to end, being in an uncertainty for a few moments before something resolves. That's what keeps System 2 strong. And a strong System 2 is what lets you think for yourself, instead of just reacting to whatever the algorithm decided you should feel today. David Robbins wrote a book called The Intelligence Trap. He says, being smart doesn't protect you from thinking badly. In fact, smart people are often better at rationalizing decisions they have made emotionally, which means they are sometimes worse at recognizing when they have been manipulated. What actually protects clear thinking isn't intelligence, it's intellectual humility, the willingness to ask, did I actually think this through, or did I just react? Is this what I believe, or is this what I was shown at the right moment by a system that profits from my reaction? If you want to actually know how I changed this to myself and replaced scrolling with reading longer books, click here to watch. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Bye.